started 8 days ago among a gathering of filmmakers, seasoned researchers, and supporters. Some meeting for the first time, others peers in the field. The rules of engagement for the 23 minutes of therm footage was made perfectly clear. If they can be debunked, then bring it on. Here's the video log documenting that process. Bart Cutino, myself, and 11 other individuals, including 4 other participants that were originally there that night when Bart recorded the subjects on his therm, has assisted in one form or another with a reenactment of what is currently the longest therm-recorded Sasquatch behavior on record, documented from a region that will forever be known as the Sierra Kill Site.
Putting rocks under your armpits for us, and we're going to check to see how they look up on the therm. Okay. So here is a nice little rock there. So here we are, Bart. You've done all the therm stuff. We've gone through this. We've walked it. We've tested it. We've tried to do a lot of things just to see if we could disprove what was going on. We learned a lot of interesting things. And you had some ideas. They didn't work out. But then we figured out how to make them work. So what's on your mind now? What are you thinking right now?
You know, it's funny. Ever since I clearly saw one 5 years ago through a thermal imager, and it's become, you know, my primary tool in the field. I always had a fear that I would get them, because I do, as all my friends know and all my field partners know, you know, I'm out there every night. I'm never by a campfire. I'm out there every night covering ground, whether it's driving, whether it's walking, whatever it is with this unit. And I knew one day eventually I'd get them. My fear was that it wouldn't be definitive. And this is kind of a mixed bag, if you will, because my guys that were here that night, we know what they are. There is no other explanation of what they are. You know, I was telling Roe, you look at any film, the Patterson film, you know, Mike Green's film, and there very well may be Bigfoots in those films, but the guys that were here from a personal perspective, we know that what that footage is of real Bigfoots. And us knowing and sharing it, I really had a tough internal battle if I was going to share this outside of my immediate circle and my friends in the field, because I'm under no illusion. I know what the standard is, and I did feel it was important, because knowing what they are, if I wanted my partner Ranger Leiterman to come here, and I wanted him to try to destroy this film and look at it from every angle. And a couple times I wanted to give up in the process, just because of doing the recreations and the time it takes to do it, and the frustration. I mean, you're talking 20 hours we worked on this to try to pinpoint where these subjects were. It looks easy on paper. It's not. It's very difficult. And without him, I couldn't have done this. And I think we were pretty sure of what these subjects' heights were. And you know, even the smallest one that was going to be, you're going to see, is around Kip's size, around 6'3", 6'4", as Kip stood in for that subject. You know, I was the tallest guy there that night out of the 6 of us. I'm 6 foot, and I'm the guy with the camera. And we're at 7,100 feet. We're, you know, in the middle of the Sierras. There was nobody else here. And I think that this is an important exercise to take the time, do the due diligence, do this right. I had other guys working on this too, and I felt it was important to share it. But I do know it's not damning. I knew it at the time, and I know it now. But I think it's an important video. I think it shows a lot of behavior, and take it for what you will. We're still determined to get more and get better. This is not the money shot. If I would have been able to record the one, a lot of you are familiar with my sighting in Washington in 2007, and I saw that subject on all fours, and then in the clear, standing like a statue with his back to me from 32 yards. Being able to have recorded that subject and do a recreation side by side, you would see that it is a naked animal as well as anatomically distinct. Where these subjects, I mean, we're talking about 105 yards away, looking downhill. You got to remember with thermal, at that point you're past the threshold distance that clothing is not an issue. Don't look at this footage and go, you know, these subjects are wearing no clothing. If you're wearing clothing or not, it has no bearing from that distance. 105 yards is too far away, all we can determine is with the size, the behavior, what the subjects are doing. So I think it's an important thing to keep in mind. But I left here satisfied. I brought an expedition back because this is a seasonal area, and wanted to give it one last shot. And we're in the middle of that right now as we're finishing this recreation process. And we'll continue to be here in the next few years working this area because we know what's here and we know what happened. And we're intent out to improve it.
So Bart, it's been 5 years since your Cascade Washington trip and you had your thermal sighting. And it was, now I remember going back up later and doing the reenactment. You were pretty stoked about that, and it was through therm. And that was a piece of equipment that's come a long way in squatching. Not the fix-all. You got to know how to use it. It takes a time to put in to use it, but you're able to see that. You didn't get it recorded. Now here we are at another place in the Sierra Nevadas, and now you have a recorder that has recorded something. And with that said, what's the next step with that?
I think the next step is, like I said, I'm under no illusion that I know what the standard is, and the standard is we have to get better footage. I think this is important footage. It shows a lot of behavior. It's probably the longest footage on record. Some probably won't see it that way, but I thought it was still important to release it, and I think probably even be more determined to get better. And what I think about it is, it was 5 years. It took me 5 years to see one again, and without one of these units to counter their nocturnal activity, I still wouldn't know 100% that these things are real. That's what's pretty crazy about it. And what's even more remarkable is that trip up here a month ago, I almost made the decision minutes before to go to bed, and then made a decision. You know what? The thing I learned from my first sighting is pay attention when others aren't. And I grabbed Sean, who was with me, one of my guys, and we took a walk. And as we circled around, we were going to go on a 500-yard walk. And I just said, you know what? Stop. Let me just look down and see if anything's spying on camp. And I knew in 5 seconds. It was just clear as day as 5 seconds down that corridor what was there. So, this time I got him, but it's still not good enough. We need to do better, and I'm intent on getting better.
So Bart, I remember when you called me up, say, Robert, guess what? And I said, I don't know what. You told me that you captured squatches on a therm, and you're going to send them to me. So you did. And I looked at those things, I'm going, okay. I'm looking at these silhouettes that are a little kind of out of focus because of the distance, and it's therm, it's picking up heat signatures. And I'm looking over there, and I am going, God, I hope. So Rowdy and I spent 3.5 hours staring at those therms, breaking them down, following your notes, comparing a still daylight shot. And after our 3.5 hours discussion, we decided amongst ourselves that you were seeing people walking around the campfire, and that's all you saw. And then you said, no, Robert, it's not that. Then their depth perception of the therm, which I didn't understand, which is totally different. I was confused as to what the picture was. So you invited me up anyway, and we've been tearing it apart and looking at it, and I see it in a totally different light. A lot of people are going to do what I just did. Break it down, throw it away, say it's people on a campsite, but I don't think it is. I don't think it's people in the campsite. The sizes, the location, the behavior, I would have never guessed it to be that way unless I came here on site and tried to do the experiments ourselves. So I take back what I said to you earlier, Bart, and I apologize for that. And it wasn't the campfire. It wasn't people walking around campsite. There was something walking around, and most likely bipedal primates walking around.
Well, like I said, I appreciate that. Thanks for coming. Yeah, we've been best friends for a lot of years. I wouldn't bullshit you. So,
yeah, I know that.
And I knew if you could tear this apart and you figured out it was something different, the public would never see it. And I'm behind that 100%. So I'm glad you came. It's just nice knowing that I kind of know what the end result's going to be when you actually get here and see the site and hear from all the witnesses and what happened. So I appreciate it, though.
Good job, Bart.
Thank you. Let's get better.
All right, you got it.